What's going on, everybody? Justin here with From Zero to Studio, and today I want to talk about dealing with lots of tracks in a project, and one way you can make it much more manageable. Let's discuss. So I have a song here that came in for mixing, and it came in with 10 piano tracks. Let's zoom in on those just to see what's going on. When looking at these tracks, we can see that each new track takes off where the previous track ended. That means that we're going to be able to comp this down to one single piano track. Even though only one piano part is going to be playing at any given time throughout the song, by condensing these down, it's going to make the mixing process much more manageable because we only have to focus on one single track. Now when zooming in on these parts, we can see that these overlaps tend to carry through into the next phrase being played. And in many cases, you might be able to cut that right on that beat, put the previous track up to it, and crossfade it. However, I want to check out every single part on this and how they overlap, because you'll see that I made notes up here that there are some pickup notes that carry through on a few new passages. And what I mean by that is that these pickup notes are playing over top of the previous chord, and if the piano part were played as one continuous part, this would not cut off right here at that note. These two notes would be played over top of that chord, and that new chord starts right here on that downbeat. So in this instance, we can't cut this here and put this over top because we're going to be losing all of this chord that's hanging out. And we also can't cut this here and crossfade it on that downbeat because we're going to lose all of this information. So I'm going to show you how we approach that in just a moment here as we start condensing this piano part down. Let's go back to the top. So this first one here can be cut and crossfaded right on the downbeat because that starts a new chord change. And at our second change, we have so same thing here. Now here's where things start to get a bit tricky. Just like we were discussing a moment ago, we can't cut off either of these phrases. They need to overlap at some point. So in this case, I'm going to keep this on its own track, but I still want this chord to cut off here as if the sustain pedal were released. So we'll bring that right up to the chord, put a small fade on it, and we're good to go with that. So I did mention that we were going to condense this down to one single piano track, and right now you're probably thinking like, hey, you've got 3 piano tracks going on with all these pickup notes that carry over from the previous part. We are still going to condense this down. Just with these additional pickup notes, they have to stay on their individual tracks for the time being so that way it sounds natural. And then at the end, we're going to export however many tracks we're left with as a single piano file. The reason we are making these cuts and crossfades and not just exporting it as a single file from the start is because these chords hanging out into the new part are different chords. So there would be some dissonance underneath that we're trying to avoid. And here we're down to our final piano part, and we can see at the very end we do have some more pickup notes. So let's make sure that we get that proper overlap on that. And we'll just trim this part back. We got to extend it a little bit here, but right up to that chord and fade it out. So all these extra pieces we can get rid of. We don't need any of that. And so we went from 10 piano tracks down to 4 piano tracks. So definitely much more manageable even in that sense. But the next step is going to be to set our left and right locators. Make sure we're at the beginning and the end of the project. And we're going to export this. All right, so that piano track's been exported. I'm just going to dump this down onto a new track here. Going to make that a stereo track. Piano comp. And let's import our audio track. And there we go. We got our full piano track right here, comped down to one single track. We can go ahead and get rid of these other tracks. One single piano track, much more manageable throughout the project. We can process it as a whole and not have to have a bunch of different plugins across 10 different tracks. So a few minutes of setup like this, and it'll make for a much easier time so you can focus on just mixing. So condensing tracks not only helps with overall project organization, it'll improve your workflow and help to keep a positive mixing mindset with less distractions. So hopefully this was helpful to you. Now, as you're working on improving your recording and mixing skills, if you want a guide that'll walk you through every step of the process from songwriting and recording up through mixing and mastering, you can download the Roadmap to a Radio-Ready Song. This guide covers 5 steps that'll help you take your song from sounding like a demo to sounding pro, and you can download it absolutely free as my gift to you by going to FromZeroToStudio.com/roadmap or by clicking the link below in the description, and you can start improving how you're creating and capturing your music. That's all I've got for you today. Thank you so much for watching and subscribing. I'll see you on another video soon.